Pedro, thank you very much for joining us. We're excited to have you on this episode. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me. About myself, so I'm originally from Brazil. I moved to the States when I was 15 years old, and my story is similar to many immigrants into the U.S. My mother was in debt in our home country, Brazil, and she came to live the American dream. She cleaned houses, did all sorts of odd end things to provide a better education for me and my little brother. We landed in a Silicon Valley without knowing what the heck the Silicon Valley was. I was fortunate enough to play sport in high school and went to college at the University of California, Davis, where I studied economics and international relations. I then learned about the world of finance there. I said, hey, I'm going to put my own oxygen mask on. So I went to work at Morgan Stanley in the wealth management side and quickly realized it was far from my own reality, having grown up middle lower income in Brazil, lived as an immigrant in California. I said, you know what? It was intellectually cool there, but I think I need to do something that's more mission driven. So I transitioned first at Chase on the retail, where I was like close to everyday people, but I was just a number in a very large organization. I then bumped into a startup that did small dollar lending to underserved consumers in the US to help them establish credit. I got incredible journey there, Chris, from Series C all the way to an IPO. So as a young adult, I learned a lot. The company grew from 250 people to 3,000 people, from doing 4,000 loans a month to 40,000 loans a month. I then wanted to continue to invest in myself. So I went back to business school at the University of California, Berkeley, where I started the company alongside with my co-founder, Jessica. And it was really about how could I take the learnings of having worked on large brands like Chase, Morgan Stanley in a startup that grew and ended up going public, helping underserved consumers access financial service products. But how could I get an idea out of the paper and think about redesigning the way people interact and engage with money beyond responsible lending? What other products are there for the financial health and well-being of individuals? So that has been the past 5 years of building Flourish, and we have never looked back since.
Was there something specific that inspired you to create Flourish?
Sure. I mean, my own trajectory is very connected with the trajectory of starting the company. So if you imagine as a 15-year-old to a new country, trying to go open a bank account, my mom living paycheck to paycheck, having to rely on payday lending. At the end of the month, it was always tough to make ends meet. Investing savings was something aspiration that neither of us knew how to do. With me delivering newspaper, her cleaning houses. We lived in a 3-bedroom with 13 other people when we first moved here. So that was quite tough. But I've been able to break out of that cycle and have since then wanting to create products that could help individuals get ahead, plan for the future, spend better, manage their finances, feel less stressed. Because even people that are good at managing money, they still feel money stressed. They don't know if they're doing good enough. But with people that have very little, living paycheck to paycheck, it's extra hard. It's a survival mindset. Yeah. So I had many of those stories growing up, seeing my parents in debt, seeing my mom rely on payday lending. I didn't want that for me. I didn't want that for the people around me. And I wanted to be part of the people creating products for that community.
Excellent. So you had an exit in your first company, and then you went to business school, and that's where you started Flourish.
I wasn't the founder of the first company. I was an early employee.
Sure.
I didn't retire then. It helped me with my down payment for my house and pay for business school. I joined them. It was late, like growth stage,
Sure.
but still in the earlier days.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about, did you have to overcome any challenges to build your company or to build your service?
Oh man, I feel like that's every day. That's the life of entrepreneurship. From pitching over 100 investors to raise our first seed round, to knocking on the doors of philanthropics, VCs, and not knowing the rules of the game, to making mistakes on hiring of people that didn't necessarily have the culture or fit of a
Hmm.
startup, to figuring out what's the right go to market. Like today,
Hmm.
we operate in 5 countries: U.S., Brazil,
Hmm.
Colombia, and Mexico. And you think it's cool for early stage, but in the early days, it's hard to being able to go in multiple countries and being able to adapt to the banking infrastructure of different places and people's behavior. So uh, I guess it's filled of mistakes and challenges along the way. But as an entrepreneur, you really got to frame those as learnings, and the next at bat you become better at it. So it's really a mindset of seeing those hurdles from my personal journey of
Hmm.
coming for little, having to start over in a new country, to hey, making mistakes in the early days of creating something new and
Yep.
innovating. I think that's just part of the journey.
It is indeed. It is indeed. I can't imagine doing a startup in multiple countries. That really has got to be very difficult. So,
I
what
mean,
is the? Go ahead.
it has its advantages, right? Like
Hmm.
you have talent across, you have learnings that can come across, but at the same time, it's a context changing at times. But
Yeah.
if you take the, it's kind of like I said, my journey is interconnected with the company that I'm building. So I
Hmm.
grew up in Brazil until I was 15. I came to the US, had this great career in the Silicon Valley, and I wanted to help people from my community. So what that meant was first the immigrant community in the US, or people that were starting out. But then if you look more broadly, money management is an issue across the board. So
Yes.
how could I make an impact? So I thought global. Maybe I could have probably better stacked my go to market a little bit better for resource allocation. But hey, you live and learn.
So it certainly sounds like your service benefits consumers. How does it benefit financial institutions?
Definitely, we impact key metrics for the financial institutions, may that be credit union, fintech, or banks. Think about
Mm.
we have three very strong use cases. One is around primacy and principality of the account. So think about
Mm.
someone having a checking account, but using that account to receive the direct deposit, using that account to pay bills. So having that as a primary
Mm.
institution, having more money and additional deposits. So that's one use case. The second use case is around interchange fees and card activation. So getting people to use the card more often, sign up for Apple Pay, pay their bills on time. So driving revenue on top of a credit card
Mm.
product. And then the third component is around reducing default rates. So think
Mm.
about getting people to pay their auto loan on time consecutively, and ideally from that account that's in the institution. So a lot of credit unions struggle with having a auto loan portfolio, but doesn't have the primacy of its member. So we design a solution that can impact those three things: reduce default rate, increase deposit, and drive share of wallet or primacy of the account.
It's awesome. So there's going to be fintechs, credit unions, and VC investors at Venture Tech. What's the message you want them to walk away with after hearing your pitch?
Yeah, I mean, look, the business is really important, but the humans behind the business being built, it's even more important. And I believe if you want to drive innovation, one, collaboration is important, but collaboration from different perspective. And I believe if we care, I do, if we care about the financial health and financial well-being of Americans and individuals, you need new ways of solving problems, and you need to
Mm.
bring people together. And the message that I want to pass is that we have this new way. It's diverse, it's working, but we need collaboration
Mm.
to break into a very large community, which is the credit union, that has mission aligned, but
Right.
not always is an early adopter of technology. So we need people to take risks in order to drive new solutions and financial well-being of individuals.
Mhm. That is well said. That is well said. So, thank you very much for joining us. I can't wait to meet you in person at Venture Tech. Travel safe. We will see you there.
I am really excited. Thanks for the time here.